Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us over your lunch hour for another one of our WESC webinars. My name is Ali Ramsey. I am the Executive Assistant and Communications Coordinator here at WESC, and I'm so happy that all of you are here today. Our topic today is fraud awareness and education for business owners, and is presented by Leanne Bradford and Louise Backman of RBC Royal Bank. If you have any questions for either of them, please leave your questions in the Q&A box. There's a little button at the bottom of your screen that you can click and put questions into. And if you want to introduce yourself in the regular chat box, what you do, what your name is, what you're hoping to get out of this webinar, that would be great as well. And as always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing if you would like. You'll receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link to the recording. And with that, I'm going to pass you over to Leanne and Louise now to begin the presentation.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much to WESC, and thanks to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to spend some time with us today as we discuss cybersecurity and fraud prevention. My name is Leanne Bradford, and I'm a business account manager with RBC, working with small business clients in many different industries to provide tailored financial advice to help business owners achieve their short and long-term goals. Prior to my current role, I worked with RBC's commercial banking team as an associate account manager, and before that, I spent several years in retail management. Joining me today is Louise Backman, Senior Manager for Business Operations. Louise, are you able to tell us a bit about yourself?
I can so. Thanks, Leanne, and thank you for inviting us. This is exciting and a great topic. So part of my job, or a large part of my job, is operational risk within our business financial service platform in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Northwestern Ontario. And operational risk, a large part of it is fraud and educating our clients and talking about fraud and the most common frauds. So I see a lot of them. And so I'm here to support Leanne in the presentation. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Louise. I'm actually just going to stop my video and I will start presenting. Just one moment. All right. So we're here today to talk to you about cybersecurity and fraud. We want to help you become informed about what it is, how you can protect yourself so that you and your business, your employees, and your clients don't become victims, and finally, some steps to follow in the event you have become victim of a cyber attack. We'll start by touching on the current threat landscape, starting with what is cybercrime and what are the latest cybersecurity and fraud trends that might be impacting you, your business, your employees, or your clients. Then we'll touch on some of the main things you should do to help prevent incident, but also plan for them so that you can quickly minimize damage and recover when they do occur. And of course, we'll give you a chance to ask your questions because pretty much everyone has a story or a question related to this topic. Our goal today, and RBC's goal, is to make sure you are informed and protected. So let's talk about what do we mean by the term cyber fraud. Cyber fraud is the crime committed via a computer with the intent to corrupt another individual's personal and financial information stored online. Cyber fraud is the most common type of fraud, and individuals and organizations need to be vigilant and protect their information from fraudsters. We're in an age where the digital realm has increasingly woven itself into the fabric of our personal and professional lives, and many of the technologies that we've come to rely on are accelerating faster than regulatory bodies can adjust. We were already on track to become a pretty digital world, but this past year has really accelerated things. This has brought many positives and new opportunities, and Canadians have increasingly relied on the internet to conduct everyday activities such as buying and selling of goods and looking for a job. So the question is, who is getting targeted? One of the biggest mistakes we make, and it's a natural one, is thinking it can happen to me. Well, the phrase our folks like to reinforce is that it's pretty much not if, but when these attacks will happen. And small businesses are actually a big target for cyber criminals and fraudsters. It's not just about big companies. In fact, over 90% of security breaches are the result of people making mistakes, getting pulled into a scam, or clicking on a malicious link. While we hear about big company data hacks in the news, it's actually the actions that you take as an individual that have the greatest impact on the security of your financial and personal information. Experts say that people, not technology, are responsible for as many as 95% of cyber breaches, often caused by factors like curiosity, sophisticated social engineering, or human error. The other thing to note is that just as businesses shifted their working environment during this pandemic, so did the criminal underworld. And just as the most nimble and innovative organizations adjusted their strategies to take advantage of new opportunities, unfortunately, so have the most innovative criminal minds. For example, throughout COVID-19, ransomware emails have grown by 4,000%. Mobile phishing attacks jumped 37%, and cyber incidents are up across industries and demographics. I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation that nearly 20% of businesses have been impacted by a cyber attack in the past year. And this slide highlights some of the hard and soft costs related to a cybersecurity event. For the businesses hit by a data breach, 46% of business owners estimated that the attack cost them over $100,000, while 1 in 5 had no idea the cost of the breach. I'm not sure how many of you have tried to wire funds through online banking, for example, and are frustrated by the dollar limits imposed there. You can see from this slide another important factor is that wire fraud accounts for nearly 48% of fraud attempts. Half of small business owners surveyed believe that their business may have been vulnerable to a cybersecurity attack, and 56% stated that they're concerned about how the breach could affect their business. There are many different types of frauds, and to go through every type out there could take quite some time. So we're going to talk today about the 3 most common type business owners are experiencing currently. So the first one is email messaging, fake websites, which include business email compromise. Number 2 is malware and ransomware. And 3 is password compromise. So let's talk a bit more about each one of those in depth. The first category is email messaging and fake websites. It's important to understand how fraudsters use these tactics. Phishing scams take advantage of your fears, as scammers will play on your emotions and try to create a sense of urgency. They'll pose as someone they're not, typically a business contact, a representative of a company, or even a friend or a family member. They will tell you a scary story about how your bank account is being threatened and how they need you to provide information to confirm the identity of your account as soon as possible. Spoofing is another key tactic of online scammers. The scam will most often include a fake email address, website, or phone number that the scammer will use to trick you into releasing sensitive or confidential information. They'll lead you to believe that the email is from a friend, family member, or representative of an organization. Their main goal is to trick you into giving away personal information like bank accounts, passwords, or credit card numbers. Typically, these type of cyber frauds are conducted at a mass level, where the fraudster is sending out a mass email and just hoping that someone clicks on the link. So how do you protect your business against phishing? I can't stress enough, it's about knowing your suppliers and your clients and being very careful about sharing personal or financial information only with those you trust. Some quick tips would include only download software from a reputable website. Ensure firewalls, anti-malware, and antivirus software are up to date, and scan PCs regularly. Avoid providing personal or financial information through email. Do not click links, download files, or open attachments from an unknown center. Only provide personal details online if the site is trusted or over the phone, if you have initiated the conversation. If you're ever in doubt, call your bank support center or relationship team. And again, all emails can be reported at phishing@rbc.com. It's very important to be vigilant in identifying suspicious pop-ups and report them immediately. Let's move on to business email compromise. Business email compromise or vendor email compromise is one of the most common types of cyber fraud we're seeing in the business world. Often it comes in the form of an email invoice. Unlike phishing, where there's an email blast with the hope of getting someone to click on a link, business email compromise are targeted attacks honing in on a specific business. It targets businesses of all sizes and has been reported in 150 countries. In general, the fraudsters prefer wire payments, but may request personally identifiable information or wage and tax statement forms for employees. Very often, the targeted businesses are working with foreign suppliers or businesses. Between December 2016 and May 2018, there was a 136% increase in identified global exposed losses. This is responsible for over $12 billion in identified fraudulent payments between October 2013 and May 2018. So how do business owners protect clients and employees from bad actors and frauds? By maintaining segregation of duties for those creating or modifying payments versus those approving money movement or release of funds. Continue to practice due diligence with suppliers and employees around any new requests to change payment contact details. For example, do not confirm details in an email response, but pick up the phone and validate the changes or the requests. Rely on dual administration controls so that critical users are managed by more than one individual. Carefully look at business emails to ensure email addresses is recognizable and phone numbers are accurate. Very common to get an email in your inbox where it looks like it's a legitimate email, but if you hover over the actual email address, there will be a spelling error or one character out of line. The next type of cyber fraud we're going to touch on is malware. Malware is designed to creep into your computer and create chaos on your systems. Whether it corrupts your files, messes up your application, or spies on your activity and then copies your data, malware is often means to an end. It's used as a way to steal money or information. Signs that your device is infected could include decreased computing speed, missing or deleted security software, and increased computer crashes or freezes. Malware can be installed by someone physically accessing your device if you've visited a malicious website and infected with malware, or if you didn't patch or update your device but left it connected to the internet. Over 90% of phishing emails typically contain malicious software or malware in links and attachments. Before opening any email, check, do I recognize the sender? Is it a corporate or an rbc.com or email address? Was I expecting this, or have I ever received an email on the subject previously? Does the language used seem excessively urgent? Does the content include reasonable information, or does it seem suspicious? Does the action required seem reasonable? In asking these questions, you will find it is easier to distinguish between a phishing email and a legitimate one. Let's discuss the difference between malware and ransomware. Ransomware is a form of malware that enables cyber criminals to remotely lock down files on your computer or mobile device. The criminals will use the ransomware to extort money from you before they restore your access to your files. There are a number of ways a computer can be infected by ransomware, but it most commonly involves a business owner clicking on a malicious link or attachment received through a phishing email. Once infected, you will see a ransom note, which is designed to scare or extort them into making payments. Victims of the 11 biggest ransomware attacks have spent at least 144 million US dollars on costs ranging from investigating the attack, rebuilding networks, and restoring backups, to paying the hackers ransom and putting preventive measures in place to avoid future incidents. The most unfortunate part is a lot of businesses fear reporting the ransomware attacks. There are ways to help protect your business, though, by implementing robust data backup and recovery plans. Maintain copies of your files, particularly sensitive or proprietary data, in a separate secure location not readily accessible from local networks. Ensure strong practices for administration rights and control. Leverage strong endpoint security and firewalls and ensure all patches are applied and software is up to date. Rigorous penetration testing and encrypt sensitive data, and implement regular cybersecurity employee training. The final type of cyber fraud we're going to touch on today is password compromise. One common way scammers get access to your information or break into your online account is by guessing your password. By using multiple computers making billions of guesses per second, criminals can guess even relatively complicated passwords in a matter of hours. Many of us like to use the simple, easy to remember passwords, such as the password or the digits 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, the scammers know this, and therefore it's like handing out your house keys and address to strangers. Password hacking can also take place by watching you enter your credentials over your shoulder, or if you're in a public place, or catching a glimpse of your PIN when you're at an ATM or in a store, or by posing as your bank and tricking you into giving this information. We'll get into that a bit more in a minute. Now we all know this one, password compromise. Who's still using the 1, 2, 3, 4 mobile phone password? Passwords are like keys. We use them to protect our accounts, devices, and our information. Understanding how passwords work can significantly improve your personal security. Ensure that each account you have, whether it's email, banking, credit card, etc., think of a password as a key. Now imagine that one key opened everything, your car, your house, your bank account. It would be a disaster if you lost that key. Having different key limits the potential damage. Here are some tips. Use unique passwords. Don't reuse passwords for different accounts. Think of that password as a key. Should be complex, should be long, contain upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters, which can include spaces. They should be managed carefully. Storing your password securely is critical to protecting your digital life. Use a secure password manager if necessary. Use multi-factor authentication wherever possible. This requires a 2 or more stage process for logging in and verifying your identity. Attackers will likely find it very hard to fulfill the second condition. And don't forget about the physical security of devices. Don't leave your cell phone or laptop in cars. Ensure screens are locked when not working, particularly when working from home, even being visible from a window when people are walking past. So let's take a step back because we've covered what it is for cyber fraud, who is under attack and who is attacking. We next looked at 3 very common types of cyber fraud that we hear about from our clients, along with some specific actions a business owner can take to protect themselves against those types of fraud. Let's unpack the 5 specific actions business owners can do to protect their business on an ongoing basis. Ensure that your email servers are using a secure encryption protocol. So for the technical part of it, the Payment Industry Data Security Standard for safeguarding payment data now requires an encryption protocol. This includes the Transport Layer Security version 1.1 or higher. And then we'll combine the 2 and 3 to cover off these steps in implementing formal technical controls, especially when it comes to what's most important. So patch operating systems and applications automatically, enable security software, configure devices securely, use strong user authentication, secure all mobility, establish perimeter defenses, secure cloud and outsourced IT services, have access to control and authorization, and secure any portable media. Number 4, have an incident response plan. We'll talk about that more later in the presentation. And finally, perhaps the most important, employee training, especially if you have remote workers. There are tangible ways you can protect your business by implementing controls. Here's what we mean by that. Implement strong approval rules. Assign stringent user privileges. Align approval limits to a business need. Review on a regular basis. Institute mandatory procedures that all fund transfer requests must be approved by at least one other person. These include using payment templates whenever possible. Ensure that approvals are required when changing any payment templates. Fully complete all beneficiary information on all templates, and instruct any approvers to carefully review all payment details. Investment in training is a must. Keep your employees educated on cybersecurity best practices, the signs of fraud, and their role. Have procedures to validate all payment instructions. Remind your employees to never click on links or open attachments if they do not trust the email. Instruct employees to never disclose their online banking credentials. Including sign-in ID, password, or token value. Have policies to ensure employees use complex and unique passwords and change them regularly. Many small business owners tend to think of cyber attacks as something that happens mostly to big companies. That's because reports of multinational enterprises being hit by hackers dominate the headlines. Unfortunately, the many heartbreaking stories of small business incidences received far less attention. The reality is smaller targets can be easy game. And that's typically due to lower levels of IT sophistication, funding, and dedicated cybersecurity staff. Sadly, a cyber attack can be devastating for many small businesses, leading to huge financial costs, significant data loss, operational downtime, and reputational damage that can be almost impossible to recover from. So how do you know your business might have been hacked? Watch for these signs. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. Signs might include something being off with your financials. Your hardware or software isn't working right. Your passwords suddenly don't work. Or you get complaints about your emails. So for example, some of your contacts are notifying you that they're getting spam emails from you. Cyber criminals are on average in business environments for 200 days before owners realize that they've been attacked. However, some incidences are more obvious. So reconcile your account activity daily. Use alerts to be notified of account transactions. Verify any changes to vendor information. Confirm all changes with a call to the vendor's phone number in person. Use the phone number that you have listed, not the phone number listed in an email. Verify the source of all payment requests. Exercise extra caution if you receive email requests for urgent payments or whenever you are suspicious of the payment instructions. And then validate all invoices before making the payment. The key is to respond quickly and efficiently once you do detect a breach. The first thing to do when, not if, a cyber attack happens to you, don't panic. take a breath, take stock, and walk through the 3 key stages of crisis management: readiness, response, and recovery. This can help your business come out on the other side. Preparation is actually your best bet to effectively manage and survive a cyber incident. That's why a good cyber crisis plan can help your team respond quickly and effectively and minimize harm. Once you're prepared, you'll also need to practice. It's like flexing a muscle. You need to do it regularly to make sure that you're understanding how to operate everything you're putting in place. So stage 1 for readiness. So if you have a plan in place already and you think you've been hacked, now is the time to put that plan into action. If you don't, you'll need to think quick. So you can borrow the RBC Cybersecurity Crisis Management template from our website. We'll share that link at the end of the presentation. At a minimum, your plan should cover these elements: a list of cyber risks grouped by impact. Know what types of events might affect your organization. For example, a lost employee laptop or mobile device, a system disruption or data breach. Phishing, ransomware, and business email compromise continue to be the biggest threats. Next, categorize their potential level of harm. Think about the risks from all lenses, including technology, operations, payments, reputations, and people. Remember, risks might not always come from an attack on your business. You could be impacted by attacks on a key supplier, an employee, or even clients. Think of your key stakeholders. These are the people or companies that could be affected by a cyber event in your business. They may either be impacted by a hack or be in a position to help you through it. It's a good idea to formally document their names, contact information, and their role. Think about how events will be communicated. How will you reach out to those affected? How will you tell them and when? Communication templates. Time is of the essence, and it's wise to prepare communications in advance, taking into consideration various messages, channels, and levels of priority. Stage 2, response. Next up, you'll want to think about how you want to respond and take action, then act. In this stage, you will need to assess what happened, what are the impacts, what your plan is in the short term and long term. If you have prepared in the first stage, this is a matter of executing the plan that you've already developed in practice. How and when you're communicating. It's also at this point that you need to own the breach. Owning the breach is very critical because then you control the messaging and you act in the interests of your customers and your employees in protecting your business. If you do these things well, you maintain a level of integrity and a level of trust with the community you service. Stage 3, recovery. In the recovery phase, speed is essential to limit damage and minimize disruption. Once you've secured the scene, so to speak, you'll need to assess the damage to your technical systems, your finances, your brand, your operations, and your stakeholders. You'll also need to address any regulatory, compliance, and legal fallout. This is also a good time to look closely at how this happened and take stock of lessons learned. Ask yourself, has the problem been fixed? What steps can we take to prevent this from happening again? Are my employees and suppliers fully educated on the risks and vulnerabilities that exist? Remember, as much as 95% of incidents are caused by human error, such as employee clicking on links, using weak passwords, or being tricked into sharing information. Have any opportunities emerged out of the crisis? The odds of businesses getting hit with a cyber attack keep rising, and if you're hit once, chances are that lightning might strike again. With those odds, incidences are a virtual certainty for most businesses. Business owners have a lot on their mind in juggling many mission-critical priorities this year, but cybersecurity is just too important to let it slide. And then finally, don't go it alone. Keep in mind that every stage of your crisis management, you'll be better positioned for success if you secure help from experts. Consider having a legal team on retainer to provide timely advice, IT experts to set up a robust security system, and cyber education specialists to educate your employees. There's a lot of different places to stay informed about the latest scams. One source is rbc.com/cyber site. We regularly publish the most frequent scams. The government websites and reliable news sources are also good sources. Protecting your business, personal, and financial information and safeguarding from fraud are among our highest priorities at RBC. In addition to our stringent privacy policies, we use a wide range of technologies and security mechanisms to ensure the safety, confidentiality, and integrity of your information and transactions. We also maintain strict security standards to make sure that your information is protected against unauthorized access and disclosure. Plus, we have a team of dedicated fraud experts working 24/7 to prevent, detect, and investigate fraud. And we work closely with industry associations, government, and law enforcement to ensure a safe and secure environment for you. And our 100% online security guarantee protects your accounts from any unauthorized transactions. Thank you for attending today's seminar and joining us as we walked you through today's fraud trends and tactics so you can be better prepared to spot fraud before it happens and protect yourself at all times. Please keep in mind staying safe from fraud is a shared responsibility. Each person plays a big role in their own security. Being here is a huge step, is taking some time to educate yourself.
Thank you so much, Leanne. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, please put them in the Q&A box or the chat box. We do have a little bit of time here, so we can answer some questions if anybody has any. If not, you will get a recording of this presentation after, as well as some resources that Leanne and Louise have provided. So that will come to you about 24 hours from now as well. So we'll, I think Daria might have a question here.
I think it was in regards to Dropbox and Google Drive and cloud systems. By the way, it's Louise. So do we recommend any other sort of hardware backup? We leave that up to you. I think what we want to stress is that there's only the people that you allow to access those cloud services. So you want to make sure, like Leanne says, like nobody clicks on the link where they can give that information. You know, somebody sends them something saying, hey, I want to access your Dropbox, so what's the password? Or they click on something. You just want to make sure that that information that are in your cloud services are secure. Hope that answered the question.
Give it another second here. Oh, here's another question.
I agree with the statement that's there. They don't tend to get into the clouds, but I'm gonna, maybe I'll make you laugh. Hopefully I do. But there are some, let's say, pictures of celebrities that were in a secure cloud that somehow got leaked. So hackers are incredibly smart and are very good at their craft. So let's keep that in mind, and you should be protected.
Okay, perfect. That looks like that's all of the questions today. So thank you so much to both of you for your education on fraud. We really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone else who's joined us here today. As another reminder, you will receive this webinar on demand on our website by the end of the day tomorrow. And we do have another webinar coming up next Wednesday, and that is on valuing your business. So if you haven't already registered, you can do so at west.ca/events. Thank you again, Louise and Leanne, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much.